Street Fighter V Season 2 closes out with Zeku, the 38th Grandmaster of Bushinryu Ninjutsu, and holy shit, is that Strider Hiryu? Sorry, let me explain. While normally an old ninja master, Zeku possesses some sort of strange ninja magic that can turn himself younger, effectively making him two characters for the price of one. Zeku originally appeared in Street Fighter Alpha 2, where he was revealed as the master of Metro City Street Ninja, Guy. When Guy defeated Zeku in combat, Guy inherited the title of 39th Grand Master of Bushinryu, and Zeku left on a journey to reinvent his martial art. By the time he returns in Street Fighter V, Zeku is in the process of rebranding Bushinryu into a more modernized global ninja service, aiming for a wider international clientele. Like some kind of business ninja. So before this, I mentioned in my Abigail video that I've always been in love with the idea of how modular the Street Fighter canon universe is, because you can link together other universes along the same lines. This is how Street Fighter exists in the same canon as Final Fight, Rival Schools, and even Tekken now. What's blowing my mind here is that as the first Strider, Zeku is the link between Final Fight, Street Fighter, and the dystopian cyber future of Strider. This is insane! This could mean that in the far future, past the time of Strider and the passing of humanity, this could be canon. And if that is canon, then that means this is canonically relevant. So Zeku happens to embody a classic fighting game archetype, the old guy. Old guys in fighting games often come in one of three flavors. Shriveled old men with decades of mastery and technique who prefer precision and tact over pure striking power. Ageless muscle gods who have been fighting all their life and kept in pretty good shape. Or shriveled old men who are secretly ageless muscle gods. My usual outlook on old guys ranges from indifference to aggressive disinterest. A lot of old kung fu guys use this really passive, low-powered style that I do not know the name of, but I can only describe it as old man kung fu. And I swear these are all the same character. I do think that a select few old guys are actually pretty cool, but more often than not, I'm likely to pass over old guys without much thought. So where does that put Zeku? I actually like him a lot. Among the myriad of old kung fu masters in fighting games, we actually don't get to see old ninjas get a lot of play, and I think Zeku is really interesting in that regard. Zeku has two standard looks, his old man form and his younger Strider appearance. In both, he has a hairstyle I can only describe as an 80s anime mullet. In his old form, he is wearing a blue ninja suit with an orange neck scarf, orange gloves, and a green traditional Japanese surcoat called a jinbaori, showing his status as a master of Bushinryu. I think the actual costume pieces look good, they're simple and functional, but also expressive of Zeku's status as a ninja master. If anything, I feel like maybe the colors might be clashing just a bit. The blue of the suit, the orange of the scarf, and the green of the jinbaori are all very saturated and fighting for attention. On one hand, I understand why the jinbaori is green, because it's a visual nod back to his appearance in Street Fighter Alpha 2, where he just wears a green version of Guy's uniform. If this were the case, I would have maybe turned the blue suit underneath to a darker forest green to match. However, I also understand the blue suit is supposed to visually tie into Strider's blue ninja suit, which leaves me conflicted because I love the duality of representing both the old Bushinryu master and the origin of Strider, if not for the clashing colors. Young Zeku ditches the jinbaori altogether and wears a dark blue mesh shirt with the same kanji as Strider Hiryu emblazoned onto his left pectoral. He's also wearing a red scarf pulled over his face that gradients into orange near the tip, and an orange wrap around his waist. I personally like this set of colors better, with the deep blues giving room for the bright reds and oranges to stand out. It's also in this way that orange and blue become kind of the unifying colors that visually link old Zeku and young Zeku together. One thing I could really do without, though, is this weird mess of belts wrapped around the entirety of his right arm. It really just comes off as distracting because there's nothing really special about Zeku's right arm, and because it's a consistent design element that's present in both young and old Zeku, it just sort of draws your attention there for no real reason. I'm all for stylish asymmetry, but if you gotta put a long sleeve on young Zeku, just make it a sleeve, don't make it this weird arm belt thing. However, Zeku in motion is a whole nother beast because holy shit do I love these animations. Zeku strikes with the swiftness and precision of a ninja master with a lifetime of training and practice under his belt. He's got decades worth of techniques and he's not afraid to show it. His idle animation alone is basically a whole taunt. Between both of his forms, Zeku's moves are a blend of both Guy's old moves as well as moves referencing Strider. While there are a great number of really subtle nods that Strider fans have already pointed out, the most overt reference is old Zeku's series of Bushinryu special moves. Functionally and aesthetically, these are the same as Strider Hiryu's Gram special move that slashes outward with far more reach than he logically should. Zeku's Bushinryu is instead performed as a kick, and he even makes the same distinct slashing noise made by Hiryu's Cypher Sword. His critical art is basically a remixed version of Hiryu's Ragnarok Super from the Marvel vs. Capcom games, and is honestly one of the sickest critical arts in the whole game. But never mind that, because Zeku's most elaborate animations are in his recovery frames for special moves. It was around Season 2 when characters started getting these really fancy recovery animations. Ed would loosen up and shuffle in place, Minot would coil back rhythmically, and Zeku performs a short kata at the end of every special move. Zeku is so in love with this new remixed martial art of his that he is taking every opportunity to sell it, and man am I buying it. As an interesting side note, while I cannot find a specific meaning to the name Zeku, the name itself is part of an old Buddhist mantra, Shiki Soku Zeku, Ku Soku Zeshiki, a phrase that describes a principal belief of Zen Buddhism called sunyata, that roughly means all things, physical and spiritual, return to nothingness, and in nothingness all things are born, relating to the Buddhist value of impermanence and the idea that all things in the universe are malleable. You can hear young Zeku recite this entire sutra in his idle animation. The more I thought about this, the more I began to respect how much of Zeku is actually related to this belief, both in his story and his concept. Zeku has passed on the tradition of Bushinryu to Guy, and decides to reinvent himself and his martial art, in a sense, returning to nothingness in order to be reborn into something new. This is also true of how he behaves in-game, because his form is literally malleable, shifting between the old Bushinryu master to the young Strider back and forth as he pleases. The more I looked into Zeku, the more he started really appealing to me as a wholly realized character tied to a theme of remaking oneself. The thing I often skip over with most old guy characters is that archetypally old guys represent something like tradition and heritage and the old ways, and that old guys are typically around to show the youngins how it's done, or to preserve the legacy, or to throw their children off of cliffs. Zeku stands out to me because for an old guy, he's actually very forward-thinking. He doesn't have to worry about the preservation of a legacy because he's already left that to his best pupil, and he's instead thinking about how to stay relevant in a forward-moving world, to the point of attempting to modernize the business model of ninja service. Zeku is looking out not just for himself, but for the generations that will follow after him, and so he always has his eyes set to the future. To the cyber ninja robot future! That's all for this round of design shops. It's been a long journey, but I hope you've all enjoyed this retrospective on Street Fighter V Season 2. Feel free to leave us a like and let me know what you think about Zeku in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to SugarPunch for more anime and game content, and be sure to check out our Patreon for early access to our future videos. I'm a.b.i., and I'll see you all next time.